Welcome back to the deep dive.
All right. So, everyone's been following the news about the 2025 inauguration
Mm-hmm.
and, all this talk about potential changes in immigration policy and especially what that could mean for international students here in the U.S.
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of recent news reports here
Right.
about universities sending out advisories to their international student populations. And it's, remembering back to the travel bans during Trump's earlier term.
Yeah.
It seems like universities are really bracing themselves for a potential repeat, and it's causing quite a stir.
It really is. I mean, what's so striking is the sheer number of universities that are taking this seriously.
Yeah.
We're not talking about just like small, obscure institutions. This is like
Right.
big names. USC, Cornell, even MIT are urging their international students to actually come back to the U.S. before Trump takes office on January 20th.
Yeah, I'm kind of flashing back to 2017 and all the chaos.
Yeah. Are we really staring down the barrel of a repeat here?
It's hard to say for sure, but then they're not making it mandatory, are they?
Right.
No, it's not mandatory.
Okay.
But the language they're using is definitely pretty strong. And to really understand the urgency,
Yeah.
I think we need to kind of rewind back to 2017 for a second.
Okay.
Trump's executive order that banned travel from several Muslim-majority countries
Right.
just threw everything into disarray. I mean,
It was a mess.
legal battles, protests, families being separated at airports. It was a complete mess.
Yeah.
And although the Supreme Court eventually did uphold the ban,
Right.
the fear is that a similar scenario could play out again.
So it's like we're having this flashback to 2017, and universities are like, no, we're not taking any chances.
Yeah, they're not taking any chances.
Are there any whispers about which countries might be on the radar this time?
Well, the rumor mill is definitely churning,
Okay.
and it's pointing toward potential restrictions that might target students from China and India.
Oh.
And now, if you just consider the sheer volume of students that are coming from those two countries,
Right.
the impact could be absolutely massive.
That sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
I remember those stories from 2017.
Right.
So what exactly are these universities advising their students to do?
It varies a little bit from university to university,
Okay.
but the core message is very clear: be back in the U.S. well before the inauguration.
Got it.
So, for instance, USC is urging students to return by January 13th.
Okay.
They're warning about potential executive orders that could disrupt travel and visa processing
Yeah.
right as the new administration takes over.
Makes sense.
And get this, Cornell is even stating that a travel ban mirroring the one in 2017 is likely.
So this isn't just a theoretical exercise, right?
Right.
They're preparing for a very real possibility.
Absolutely.
But it goes beyond just the inconvenience of travel delays, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This could have a domino effect on education research collaborations and even the U.S. economy. I mean, international students bring an incredible amount to the table.
Yeah.
Cultural exchange, global perspectives, not to mention billions of dollars in revenue and thousands of jobs.
So we're talking about real people's lives being disrupted here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, the economic angle is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the disruption to research and the loss of global talent?
Right.
Could you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The economic impact often kind of overshadows those other crucial contributions.
Okay.
So think about it. International students, and particularly in STEM fields,
Mm-hmm.
are key players in all this cutting-edge research.
Right.
Restrictive policies could totally scare away this talent pool,
Yeah.
which would lead to a brain drain in these critical areas. And we actually saw this happen during Trump's first term.
Yeah.
Enrollment numbers dipped because of all the visa uncertainties.
So we're kind of in this holding pattern right now.
Right.
Just waiting to see what unfolds.
Yeah.
Nobody has a crystal ball.
No.
But these universities aren't gambling with their students' futures.
Definitely not.
It really underscores how politics can have a very real, very personal impact,
Mm-hmm.
especially in today's interconnected world.
Exactly. And this whole situation raises a really significant question.
Yeah.
In the face of potential policy shifts like this,
Yeah.
what role should universities play in advocating for their international students?
Yeah, it's a real tightrope walk for these institutions,
Yeah.
On the one hand, their primary focus is on education and research,
Right.
but on the other hand, they have this responsibility to protect and support all their students,
Of course.
including those from overseas.
Right. So where do they draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's this camp that argues that universities should just steer clear of politics altogether and just stick to their core functions,
Okay.
teaching and research.
Yeah.
But then you have the perspective that universities actually have a moral imperative to speak out against policies.
That could harm their students and the academic community as a whole.
Yeah. And we've seen universities take a stand on social and political issues before.
Oh, absolutely.
Think back to the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War protests, even the push for climate action. There's definitely a precedent for engagement here.
Precisely. And in this particular case, the stakes are incredibly high for international students.
Yeah.
I mean, their very ability to study, work, and live in the U.S. hinges on immigration policy.
Right.
We're not talking about some abstract principle here.
Yeah.
These are people's lives, their
Yeah.
futures hanging in the balance.
It really makes you wonder what concrete actions universities could actually take to effectively advocate for their international students.
Right. What are the options on the table? Well, there's a whole spectrum of approaches. They
Oh.
could lobby lawmakers. They could raise public awareness through campaigns or media engagement.
Yeah.
They could provide legal support to students who are facing visa issues.
Right.
And they could even go so far as challenging policies in court.
Wow.
And we're already seeing some universities step up and offer resources and guidance to their international students who are understandably pretty worried about all these potential changes.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah,
It sounds like they're taking the threat seriously and mobilizing resources to support their students.
they are.
But it also begs the question, how much influence can they really wield?
Right.
Can they actually sway policy decisions in a meaningful way?
Well, universities aren't just powerless bystanders.
Okay.
I mean, they're major employers, they're economic powerhouses, they're hubs of research and innovation.
Right.
They also have these vast and often very vocal alumni networks. So when they speak up collectively, policymakers tend to take notice.
So it's not just about making noise.
Right.
It's about leveraging their position and resources strategically.
Exactly. However, it is crucial to remember that advocacy is a long game.
Yeah.
It requires building relationships.
Educating stakeholders
Right.
and making a really persuasive case.
Yeah.
There's no magic bullet for overnight success,
Okay.
but consistent effort over time can really shift the needle.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
It's heartening to see these universities stepping up and trying to make a difference for their international students.
It is.
It really speaks volumes about their commitment to fostering diverse and inclusive academic communities.
Absolutely. This situation really underscores that universities aren't just these ivory towers detached from reality.
Right.
They're deeply intertwined with the world around them.
Yeah.
And they have a responsibility to engage with the pressing issues of our time.
It challenges that whole notion that education is solely about acquiring knowledge. It's also about using that knowledge to contribute to a better world, to stand up for what's right.
This situation also shines a light on the interconnectedness of our global community.
Yeah.
Policy decisions made in one country.
Right. Can have ripple effects across borders, impacting people's lives and opportunities
It's true.
far beyond their intended scope.
It's a potent reminder that we're all in this together, that we need to find ways to bridge divides and work towards solutions that benefit everyone.
Absolutely.
It's a complex issue with a lot of nuances,
It is.
and it's easy to get lost in the weeds.
It's a multifaceted issue with no simple answers.
Right.
But engaging in these conversations and trying to grasp the complexities is crucial.
It's all about continuous learning, expanding our understanding,
Exactly.
which really is the essence of the deep dive.
It's also about asking the right questions. And this situation prompts some big ones.
Like what?
What is the true role of education in society?
Okay.
What are the far-reaching implications of immigration policies? And ultimately, what is the responsibility of institutions to advocate for their communities?
Those are profound questions to ponder.
They are.
It makes you wonder what the future holds for international students in the U.S.
Yeah.
and for the universities themselves.
It's certainly a time of uncertainty and heightened anxiety.
Yeah.
But one thing is for sure, the outcome of this situation will have a lasting impact on higher education, the U.S. economy,
Right.
and the global community as a whole.
It's amazing how this conversation started with travel bans.
I know, right?
and it has expanded to encompass these larger interconnected issues.
Yeah.
It really highlights the far-reaching influence international students have, not just on individual universities, but on the nation as a whole.
Absolutely.
Did you know that last year alone, they contributed a staggering $43.8 billion to the U.S. economy?
That's right.
Wow.
And they supported over 378,000 jobs across the country.
That's incredible.
Those numbers really drive home the economic significance of international education.
Yeah, it's not just about the dollars and cents, though, is it?
No, not at all.
Their presence enriches our campuses and community
Right.
in ways that you can't even quantify.
Absolutely. They bring fresh perspectives,
Right.
cultural richness,
Yeah.
a global outlook that benefits everyone.
Yeah.
They also contribute significantly to research and innovation,
Right.
particularly in those STEM fields.
It's fascinating how interconnected everything is.
Yeah.
We started by talking about travel bans,
Right.
and now we're discussing the economic and cultural impact of international students.
Mm-hmm.
It really highlights the ripple effect of these policy decisions.
It does.
So what does all of this mean for the future?
Right.
What should we be watching for as this situation unfolds?
Well, I think there are a few key things to keep an eye on.
Okay.
First, we need to pay close attention to any concrete policy announcements
Right.
that come out from the incoming administration.
Yeah.
What specific actions do they plan to take on immigration? And how will those actions affect international students?
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
It's one thing to campaign on certain ideas,
Yeah,
but it's another thing entirely to put them into practice.
absolutely.
So that's number one.
Second, it's crucial to watch how universities respond to these policy changes.
Okay.
Will they continue to advocate for their international students?
Yeah.
What resources and support will they provide?
And what about the students themselves?
Right.
What can they do to prepare for these potential changes?
Well, international students should definitely stay informed and connected.
Okay.
They should reach out to their university's international student office
Yeah.
and seek legal advice if needed.
Okay.
They should also familiarize themselves with their rights
Right.
and be prepared to advocate for themselves.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more you know, the better equipped you are to navigate these uncertain times.
This whole situation is really a fascinating case study
Yeah,
in the intersection of politics, education, and a global economy.
it is.
It raises some profound questions about the future of international education in the U.S.
Right.
and the role that universities play in shaping that future.
It's a lot to process, but it's incredibly important.
It is.
Thanks for helping us unpack it all.
It's been my pleasure.
And to you, dear listener, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. We encourage you to keep exploring, stay curious,
Yeah.
and join us again for another deep dive
Sounds good.
into the world of